Do you remember the cult-like following Yu-Gi-Oh had in the early 2000s? It was so popular at my school that everyone was walking around during recess looking to duel with their deck. Even better though were the toy ads they had for the duel disc. I was never allowed to get one, but I imagine many people had fun with them. Anyways, I was having a conversation the other day about the differences between the Japanese version and the English dub I grew up on. The Shadow Realm is definitely one of the most iconic additions that the 4Kids creative team made. After the conversation, I couldn't stop thinking about what influenced the creative team to add the Shadow Realm. Here's what I concluded, and before we dive in, it wasn't to make it more child-friendly. You see, storytelling has influenced humanity's culture and history for thousands of years. Religious factions have been writers and keepers of stories that have molded modern culture. According to historians, theater in ancient Greece around 400 BCE is the earliest era where we can see complete stories that were influenced by personal, social, and religious issues within Greek society. Roman culture took many of these teachings from the Greeks, expanded upon them, and influenced the foundations for art, architecture, science, technology, literature, language, and laws of today. I would argue that the most notable and influential piece to come from Roman culture is Christianity, not Nike. That's Greece, bro! Ah, shut up! Christianity has been central to humanity for a few thousand years, and a core belief for Americans over the last 40 years. In 2001, when Yu-Gi-Oh landed on American soil, roughly 8 out of 10 Americans were Christian. This means there was a high probability that 80% of the people working on the 4Kids creative team for Yu-Gi-Oh were also Christian. I know, you're probably wondering, why would the religious beliefs of the 4Kids creative team even matter? Well, it wouldn't have influenced the creative team in terms of the content they could and couldn't show, since there are broadcast restrictions in America to make that decision for them. Instead, it would have influenced how they chose to modify Yu-Gi-Oh storyline in preparation for the American television, especially around the concept of death and the afterlife. The 4Kids team couldn't just tone down uncomfortable topic of death as they did by turning guns into pointing fingers. Death required a more fitting end, one that might even align with the majority of the team's religious belief on the subject. This is why it oddly resembles Christianity's hell as a place for characters' souls to go after a gruesome death. It's more likely that the 4Kids creative team took inspiration from the religious beliefs while following the rules that require them to protect children from violence and death. If you think their inspiration came from somewhere else, I'll continue the conversation with you in the comments below. For me though, the Romans taking inspiration from the Greeks, modern society taking it from the Romans, and the 4Kids creative team taking it from Christianity just shows us that humans will continue to take inspiration from successful storytellers long after you and I reach the Shadow Realm. Subscribe to see more Alskade in the future.